I'm Dorothy Moss, Associate Curator of Painting and Sculpture at the National Portrait Gallery, Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. I'm standing here at the National Portrait Gallery in front of Gilbert Stuart's portrait of George Washington, known as the Lansdowne portrait. It was painted in 1796 at the end of Washington's presidency, and it is perhaps the most iconic image of Washington painted during his lifetime. It's the first portrait of Washington where he's shown as a citizen rather than a military leader. He's wearing the velvet suit that he was known to wear at public appearances. He's posed in an oratorical pose with his arm outstretched, addressing the public. It was painted as a commission for the Lord of Lansdowne, William Petty, who was a great supporter of the American cause as a British citizen. It was commissioned by William Bingham, who wanted to give William Petty a gift from the United States, and it was sent to London after it was painted in Philadelphia. The portrait of Washington is filled with important symbols referencing the New Republic. There's a flag with 13 stripes in the medallion in the back of the chair. The quill on the table next to Washington is held in a well that is the shape of an arc, and the Washington family symbol is imprinted on the well. Books surround Washington, including the Constitution, rainbow in the background referencing the end of the war and hope for a brighter future. Gilbert Stuart made multiple copies of the Lansdowne portrait. This is the original. He made a copy for William Bingham, who had commissioned the original portrait. He also made another copy for William Constable, who was an Irish-born New York merchant. Those copies are now in the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts and the Brooklyn Museum. He made other copies. One of those copies attributed to Gilbert Stuart is in the White House. That portrait was rescued by Dolly Madison during the War of 1812 when the British invaded Washington and burned the city. Dolly Madison was left in the White House by James Madison when he went to meet the troops in the field in preparation for the British invasion. She realized that she needed to take account of the most important objects in the White House, in her view, and this version of our Lansdowne portrait was one of those important objects. As legend has it, it was taking such a long time to remove the portrait in its frame from the wall that she ordered the frame to be broken and had the portrait rolled and carried away from the White House by two men from New York, who she writes about to her sister in a letter documenting this event. Gilbert Stuart's Lansdowne portrait is the focal point of the National Portrait Gallery's America's President's Gallery. It was a generous gift from the Donald W. Reynolds Foundation in 2001. And the Donald W. Reynolds Foundation made it possible to share this iconic portrait with American people and visitors from all over the world who come to learn about the first president at the National Portrait Gallery in Washington. It is fitting that we are talking about Gilbert Stuart's Lansdowne portrait of George Washington at this time as we approach the 200th anniversary of Dolly Madison's rescue of the version of this portrait that hangs in the White House.